It's episode 81 of the Improv London podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Moses, and this week's guest is Nadine Bailey.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. You're involved in lots of exciting things at the moment.
Yes, I am. So many things. I can go into what those are.
That would be lovely. Let's choose one and talk about that for a bit.
Sure.
Shall we talk about Pantoprov?
Yes, please. I'm incredibly excited about Pantoprov. I did a narrative course with Steve Rowe from a Hoopla course last year, and it was a pantomime themed course.
Oh, yes, I remember that happening.
Yeah,
Yes.
It was super exciting, and I think it was the first time I'd done narrative, and so I was so in my head about it, and I really wanted to get it right, and I think we ended up with a really lovely show, but I came away going, oh, that was really great. I really enjoyed the structure of that, and I want to see if I can do it better. Not than Steve. Steve's amazing. He's offered loads of help. Better than I did last time. So I got the group together who did it last year, and I said, hey, do you want to try and see if we can put this on again this year off our own backs? And I had a great response from the people who were in the class, and a lot of them I'd come from beginners brought up with them. And they're a really lovely group of people, and I'm really lucky to know them. And since then, we've met a couple of other people who've kind of joined us on the journey, and we started putting together Pantoprov, which is the improvised pantomime. I can say I'm going to plug it. They're on Friday the 8th of December and Friday the 15th of December. We've got a late night slot at 10 p.m. So it's sure to be lots of sort of late night. I've called it like a late night extravaganza. It's going to be lots of sort of fun call outs, and we've got a really nice. I think we've got a really nice format that we've been working on for the past few weeks together. And it's starting to come together, and everyone really gets the format, and we've got some lovely fairy tale characters coming out, and it's we get the title from the audience, so it's going to be a completely made up story. We're not copying a Cinderella or a Snow White. We're doing things like Timmy and the glowing lantern, or whatever it may be. And I'm really excited about it. And it's been a really fun process for me, because I've been trying to make sure everyone's okay. So in doing that, I'm like putting together I've literally got a Google Doc for everything the cast would need to know, and I found that a really helpful process for me to get my head in the game for how to. What works best in the format, and I think it's been helpful for everyone else as well, because it's just been this is exactly what we're doing, we're going to stick to it, because we're still relatively new improvisers. I've been improvising for about over a year and a half, but that feels really new to me. Everyone around me's really sort of been doing it for years and years, and and it's kind of exciting that this group of new improvisers have been given the opportunity to put on what seems to me like such an interesting show. So I'm excited about that.
Cool. So can we dig into what you've been doing in the rehearsals?
For sure, yeah. So the first one was really just pure open book, going back to what we'd done in the previous year, everything Steve taught us about how the structure works, and you have the sort of Dan Harmon story circle, or the I don't know whose format is the Once Upon a Time.
The story spine.
Just the story spine. Is that attributed to anyone?
Yes, it is. Hang on a second.
I'm sure it is.
just Phil.
Okay. Well, the story spine. The story spine is the exact topic that we've been working on to start with, but since then we've come back and refined that a little bit using the things that people in the group have learnt.
Well, that was disappointing.
Go on.
There is an author who wrote how to improvise a full-length play.
Yes, I have this book.
Yes, and this book is normally, because we're recording at the nursery, thank you very much to the nursery for allowing us to record here, and normally there is a copy of that in the bookshelf by the sofa, which is what I was just going to get.
I didn't realise that was where the story spine actually came from.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant. I literally own that book, and I didn't realise that. It's
Yes.
great. It's exactly what... It's from that book that I was trying to combine things from multiple sources to get like a sort of rounded view of how to perform a narrative or a full-length play, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I watch a lot of pantomime anyway. I go every year.
You watch a lot of pantomime.
One year I went 3 times in a week. It was great. I really enjoy that sort of rough theatre where the audience is involved and everyone's having a sort of jolly raucous time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we used what we learnt from narrative the previous year, and the story spine, and Miriam Hall, who's in our group, is a bit more experienced than myself. She's really great.
She's really good.
She's so like I just kind of trust her with anything. She'll love it. She won't mind me saying she loves being on stage, and we love her being on stage because she's such a safe pair of hands, and she kind of steered us down a path that was more helpful for us as a group, using sort of introducing the hero and then the villain and then the enablers, which gave us a really nice starting platform. And yeah, we've kind of together as a group found a format that's worked for us by like tweaking things 1 week at a time. So started off with exactly what we were doing last year, and then we've moved on to this sort of a little bit more rigid structure.
Yeah.
But I think the rigid structure lets us get out of our heads and do. I don't know if we're doing better improv off the back of it, but I think we're definitely doing more fun stuff.
Right. Okay.
Like the audience callback stuff is what's really key to this show. The oh no he isn't and he's behind yous, which was so much fun. Yeah, I really like that element of it. So I'm really pleased that this structure lets us do that to the max.
Yeah, and it's really nice that you are a genuine panto fan.
Oh yeah.
So that's...
Oh no, I'm not. Oh yes, I am.
So are you coaching the rehearsals?
I don't want to say that. I guess I've like assembled the group, but it was a group that a lot of the people kind of existed as a group anyway.
Right.
And I'm trying to think more about how we do things. So I wouldn't say coaching.
Sounds like coaching to me.
That's nice. I'm helping. I'm
You're
helping
helping.
the group. I'm doing my bit.
Right, cool.
Yeah.
And are you performing in that as well?
Yeah, I'm not sure to what capacity I will be, because the format kind of has a host who also is in the show. Because we'll have, I'm going to give it, we're going to have like a fairy godmother style or genie, a magical being who will be our host. And I think I'm likely to do at least one of those, which might mean that I'm in it a bit less, but I think it's still quite a useful role. In fact, it's probably the most busy role because it's also doing the music, or it is at the moment.
Oh, right.
Just check that bit out. But yeah, it should be quite fun.
Yes.
We had a few rehearsals recently that have just turned out some really lovely stories, and when you get to that bit, when the first few rehearsals are always a bit sort of painful, aren't they? Because you go through that trench where you say, which bits of these are the good bits? We don't know yet. And then eventually you come into something and you're like, this is really working now, and everyone knows what we're doing and we're all on the same page, and I can see this. I wish that one. The moment where you say, "I wish that one was in front of an audience," you're like, "Oh, yeah, that's a good moment." Yeah.
So you say the magical entity that's introducing the story is also doing the music. Is this recorded music, or are you playing the music?
This is recorded music. So when we did the course last year with Steve, he has this wonderful way of pulling in a soundtrack from. I think he has like a stock list of songs that he uses, and that was always really helpful to us, and it really drives some emotion. And so we that was something we definitely wanted to include. It's an area that is, the final touches of which we're still technically working on. Yeah. But if we can do it, and if we can pull it off, it should add a lot to the show. Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
I think so.
So, what's your favourite kind of thing to play in panto?
Oh.
If you weren't being the magical creature narrator, what kind of role would be your dream role?
I think the cliched roles are the most fun to play. So either a really perky, happy protagonist, or who's I always play protagonists a bit sort of bit working class, and all right, Gov, are you pleased to see you? That kind of thing. Or like a really dastardly villain. I get to sort of. I'm literally like. I don't think I come across as a villain.
In real life, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, dastardly is my go-to word when I'm describing you.
Probably not. Which is why I think it's really fun to play, but I don't know how convincing a villain I can pull off.
I think it's a wonderful thing to play.
Yeah.
And in a sense, it's not really about being convincing, I don't think, because I've been playing around with this quite recently, and I've been playing some bad boys on stage, which I'm totally not in real life at all. And I think the audiences are aware that the terrible things that I say I do, they're not that terrible. They're just, the worst thing I can think of, but they're not even that bad even then.
I'm going to buy you slightly less nice sweets this Christmas.
Yeah, I'm still buying the sweets, but maybe they're not going to be so many. I think I played a character on Sunday with the Verbs where I'd gone to Covent Garden and had an ice cream, and I wasn't supposed to have an ice cream. That was the level. That was as bad as I got.
That's so naughty.
But what is that thing about how you take a trivial thing really seriously, or a serious thing trivially? I think it's a Dave Rosowski thing or something like that. I'm not sure.
No, I understand. Yeah. Add importance to things that even if they seem kind of trivial.
Yes.
Yeah. I can get on board with that.
Fantastic, thank you very much. So as you say, you're performing at the Miller. Yeah. Should be lots of fun.
Yeah, we're after some really awesome acts. I'd love for everyone to kind of stick around and see it, because it's a bit of fun.
Yeah,
it's such a fun night out, a fun thing to do. Did I say fun? It's fun.
Yes, I'm getting the funness. I'm getting the funness of this.
It's the kind of show that I would want to go to. So,
well, I mean, that in itself is,
That's, that isn't an endorsement.
Wouldn't it be awful if you were doing a kind of show where you go, I wouldn't really want to go. Wouldn't really want to go see that. That sounds awful. Why am I doing this? Although there are some shows where I'm sure it's more fun to perform than to be in the audience. But
yeah. Well,
that's not going to be the case with this one.
No,
it's going to be fun for everyone.
Yeah. I used to go to the theatre group Weirdos pantomimes.
Tell me about them. I've never heard of them.
They're great. Weirdos is a scripted comedy troupe who do these shows, and they're really interesting. Like it's I want to say rough theatre, where it's always above a pub or in a nice theatre. I've actually seen them in Leicester Square theatre, and they're just really rough and fun, and it's not so important that everyone remembers their lines as it is that they're being outrageous and silly. And I wanted to do an outrageous, silly show.
Brilliant.
So that's what Pantoprov's aiming to be.
Cool, that sounds fantastic. Well, I do urge everyone to come along and see it.
Yeah,
Sounds like it's going to be wonderful. recently, Hoopla ran their Improv marathon, which ran from Friday evening to Sunday evening, and I'm not entirely sure that everything that I witnessed actually happened on stage. I mean, I didn't even do the staying up all night, but I saw a lot of improv over that weekend, and it was all wonderful, but some of it I think I imagined. One of the more magical things that I don't think I imagined was the debut of Dark Matters.
Dark Matters, yeah.
Tell me about that, because it was amazing. It was really good.
Oh, thank you so much. So Dark Matters is an improvised shadow puppet show. Basically, it came about by the idea of me and Martin Sears, who's in it as well. We're sitting at dinner once, talking about the marathon, saying, "Oh, it'd be really cool to put something on in the marathon." And then we were like, "Oh, we want to put something. Yeah, we want to do this." And then we thought, well, if we were going to do it, we're going to try and do something that's unique, or at least sort of out of step with other stuff that we've seen, or offer something new. And I'm not, it's not. I don't think it's an entirely unique or new idea, but it's certainly something I hadn't seen on the London circuit before. So we thought shadow puppets would be a good, fun thing to do. And this was originally conceived as a sci-fi shadow puppet show. Because
Excellent.
Why stick to just shadow puppets? And it's kind of transformed into more of a fantastical / sci-fi shadow puppet show. And our theme song is actually the music from Stranger Things, which I think works really well for it, because it's got that kind of vibe. It's a bit 1980s Spielberg-ish in its stories, at least. And and since then we've got a bigger group. So Miriam Hall and Sarah Ifran, who are both in Pantoprov as well, or so is Martin actually. I think that's it. Formed into that group a bit organically by who is free and wants to do this.
Excellent.
And luckily, the four of us did, because we ended up having quite complementary skill sets. I'm quite artistic, I guess, and so I was sort of designing the characters and cutting them out, and we all went round sort of Martin's and Miriam's house and were just cutting out characters around a kitchen table. Yeah, and part of the fun of it was trying to figure out how we can make it look like good.
It looked amazing.
Oh,
it looked
brilliant.
This didn't seem. This seemed like an established theatre group that had done this lots.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, because a lot of time and thought went into that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I on one way I could tell up, but in another way I couldn't tell up, because it just seemed like this was a professional thing. When it started, I didn't realise who was doing it, and I was just like, where has this come from? This is an amazing
That's
thing.
really nice. I think on the day I was super aware. I'd been doing a lot because I'm taking on a lot of stuff. I was around a lot of the shows in the marathon, watching, and I was in a few shows as well. I was so grateful and thankful for all the groups that let me be in them, because it's really nice to have the opportunity to get to perform so much. So I'd gone and watched loads of stuff on Saturday, and then I went to watch Ostentatious, who are amazing.
Yeah.
And then I got home and had to finish a few sort of last minute things, like painting the black on the frame.
Wow.
for the set, and then the next day, kind of getting up for the wonderful Kathy and Unai,
Yes, in the morning.
who were amazing.
Yes,
and
they
we,
were.
of course, were in that as well. So I was by the time Shadow Puppets was on, I was operating on sort of 4 hours sleep.
Oh.
And I think I remember sort of going down a slightly unsavoury route for one of the scenes, and then going, no, this is weird. Let's take this away from that, because I'd like to stay away from that kind of. It's a family friendly kind of show.
Okay, fair enough.
Or at least I like things to be like that, because I'm super, I guess, conservative. Designing the frame, and I think Miriam had this great idea about the title sequence, about sort of holding things close to the camera, and Marty's got this great brain about what he's super concept based. So he was thinking, oh well, we could do the light by having a little light box, and what if this works, and what if that works, and eventually we came up with this set where we have. I think I bought a photo frame that was massive and super cheap. I became the local craft shop's like number one customer, because I bought this photo frame from them, and I was planning on using that as the frame, but it turned out that we ended up using the plastic from the frame to be like the front bit, using the cardboard that the frame came in as the actual frame itself.
Wow.
And using some dressmaker material to have the white of the screen.
Oh, wow.
Which was nice. And using a phone flashlight was because for shadow puppets you need a single point of light for the backlight, and then the puppets were just sort of black card and a dowel, bit of dowel, and some split pins. Wow. So it was really fun to put together, and we're going to make more puppets, and it's really fun to think about what characters we'd like to see.
Yeah.
Eventually we're going to have way too many to take with us.
Yeah.
But I think we're just going to make loads until we go, oh, we like these ones.
Yeah.
And just take whichever ones we want. And transporting them as well. Transporting them in a sort of portfolio case that I had from my art school days. So all these little bits and pieces were just really charming to make. Yeah. And of course, like one thing I haven't mentioned already is that I don't think I'd have ever even got into the field of thinking about what kind of cool concepts for a show we could have, and coming to Shadow Puppets without, of course, Glitch Cabaret and Bark and Bee.
Bark and Bee,
who I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing you can do.
Yeah.
And I always loved doing sort of shadow puppets and little character. I used to cut out characters on pieces of paper as a kid and do little mini films with my brother.
Wow.
Which is adorable, and it's nice to kind of come back to that and go, oh, this is a thing I'd like doing as a kid. I get to do it as an adult now.
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful the way improv is so open to bringing in past experiences or things that you've loved.
Yeah.
Because that was what I was going to ask, was that it wouldn't even have occurred to me to have done a shadow puppet show, but you'd done it in the past, so that was kind of, you were drawing on that.
Yeah, just as a kid with a torch with my brother, and there were more hand shadow puppets than the nice ones we've got today. But yeah, just like all those things that I was quite a creative kid, so all those things you do as a kid, like, and I think Panto-Pro is the same kind of thing. It's this sort of harking of nostalgia where you go, oh, that's something I loved growing up, and I'd love to see that again or do that again.
Yeah,
so those things. Yeah,
that's a really lovely well to kind of draw from for your improv. That's really great. So,
sure.
Are there more shows in the production line for
Dark Matters? Yes, there are. We've been really lucky to get a couple of dates next year. I don't know the dates off the top of my head, but they're far enough away that I think we would probably need to remind people closer to the date anyway. But I'm trying to think about, because it is a new show, right? It was just put together as a sort of one-off special for something lovely to do for the marathon, and we've been lucky enough with the lovely reception we've had that we think, oh, we could do something with this.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to balance two things at the moment. With do we try to seek more places or more opportunities to perform it, or do we try and find some performance opportunities that are a bit lower key, where we can build it up and practice it a bit more with an audience? It's a tricky question, and I don't think we have a good answer at the moment. Because what I don't want to do is start performing it and it still be quite unpolished. I like things to be as well put together as possible.
Yeah. That's a really interesting dilemma, for me, having watched it, it seems very polished already.
That's nice.
And you know, the way it looked very professional. And I don't remember there being any kind of roughness from the actual performance. But you know, if there was, that would be the place to have it, because a lot of the humour arises from there.
Yeah.
So because the whole setup looked very polished, I could relax and think, okay, these people, they know what they're doing. But
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a good point. The facade of professionalism that we've managed to get past people is it's super nice to have people feel comfortable to watch it. I do think we're definitely keeping the element of this is a bit rough. Look, we're growing because we're moving closer to the light.
I love
that kind of thing.
That was one of my favourite things.
Yeah, and that was something Marty definitely pointed out as something that was really fun about the format that I don't think I'd clocked as much as he had, and it'd be silly to remove that. But I do think we could practice the because we have a format of technically three 3-minute sessions or stories that are sort of short. What's the phrase? Encompassed, like all encapsulated stories. Do you know what I mean?
They're folded into a narrative. I don't know. They're wrapped.
They're self-contained.
Right.
That's
Vignettes.
the phrase. They're self-contained vignettes. They're self-contained stories, and trying to focus on relationships and all the sort of basic stuff you're taught as an improviser. Just you know each other.
Yeah.
Focusing on what's important and making it matter. These kind of core things. But I think we could practice that a bit more and make sure that the stories are so once the sort of veneer of the glow of isn't that interesting and different kind of wears off, we want it to still have some substance and still be a good show.
Yes.
So we want to work on that, but we'll have a think about how to best do that.
Brilliant, that's very exciting. I should look forward to seeing it again.
Yeah, I look forward to doing it.
Cool. Another one of the acts in which you're in is the Old Bill.
Yeah.
Which is quite high concept.
Yeah, it is, but it's so fun.
I mean that in a good way. I love a show with a big concept.
Yeah, I think I do too. I like shows that are very clear what they are and have like a clear audience sort of the audience know why they're going there, and we know what to do then to make that audience happy. I think I have I really enjoy sort of more organic long form, but I think I have a tendency to get lost in it.
Right.
Whereas if I have with these kind of structures, there's you get some nice clear points to appeal. So it's an improvised police drama, The Old Bill. This is, I believe, Catherine Badman's sort of brainchild, and she's great. She comes up with so many brilliant ideas, and just like we're on a WhatsApp group, and occasionally she'll go, "Guys, what about this?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. You're amazing." She's brilliant, yes. And there's this lovely group that she's got together. I found out about it through Tizzy, who's in Story Kitchen with me, and she's and she said, "Hey, my friend Kits is doing this show. Do you police drama? Do you want to be in it?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds so fun." And it is. It's. I think we. So we all got together, and it was super fast turnaround to have our first performance. And we had we all kind of got together with some police outfits, and we dress up, and dressing up is always such a laugh. And we decided to try out some things, and I think we were originally thinking, or Kits was originally thinking about more of a serialized story. And I think that's probably still the long game on this kind of thing, where you would have kind of some static characters, and I think we have static characters of the police chief and the sort of maverick sergeant, I forget, and we go through this story about about these serial killers and how there's been a murder, and we find out what their modus operandi is. We find out what thing they always leave at the crime scene, and one other thing, and which again escapes me. And we build this story, and we always find it's kind of fun to leave people guessing of who's done it. Like sometimes we have some really obvious serial killers, and sometimes we don't. But I think we landed on this setup and this format like really quickly, and we all liked it. And it seemed, where it felt really easy, which was nice, because if it's easy quite quickly, then as you do it more and more, you get more interesting things happening. So yeah, we will have a show. Have just done. In a second.
Oh no, time wimey stuff.
Sorry. That's all right. We've just done a show.
And I hear it went very well.
It went amazingly. Yeah. We had some great characters. It was great when the kid like chucked some candy floss on the stage.
Classic, the old Bill.
Right?
That's what I go to them for.
Happens. Yeah.
Oh, mayhem.
Yeah, we performed at the marathon, and I remember somebody really generously gave us our object that was left at the scene of the crime. It was a packet of crisps, and I think kids like just threw it on the ground and started stamping it into the stage. So I'm sure there are still bits of crisp left over in the Miller stage.
So this wasn't object work. This was an actual
packet of crisps. Yeah, it was really fun. So yeah, we're breaking boundaries. We're kicking down doors. We're stealing your crisps. The crisps were replaced.
Well, fair enough. I mean, I like to think that people were worried that there was somebody gone without their crisps, but you know. Yeah. So is that a narrative?
It's I guess it is it is in that it's telling a consistent story.
Right.
It's not telling a consistent story in a linear fashion.
Right.
We might jump back and forth in time, but yes, it's a narrative. Yeah. I'd say so. It relies on a series of interviews with the suspects and flashbacks. It kind of a narrative that borrows from some other sort of areas of long form quite heavily. Yeah,
no, that's a nice, that's a really lovely format actually. Yeah, because you have the conversation and then you act out the scene that is described. But
that kind of thing, cool. Or was made reference to. Yeah.
Cool. That sounds really good fun. And you mentioned you're in Story Kitchen.
Yeah, Story Kitchen. I can't tell you how pleased I was when I first got. So I got asked by Faye if I wanted to join beginning of the year, and I'd gone to see Story Kitchen and Theatre Sports and Maestro a few times before, and Sarim is a friend of mine, and he'd been in some Maestros, and I'd gone, wow, this is so fun. I wish I had the courage to do that, and I was a friend of ours at the time. Was about to leave the country, and it was really sad. We all missed her, Rachel, and she was saying, well, I want to try and get some performance time. I want to try and do that. And we all tried to, I think we all were of the same mind that it'd be a really fun thing to do. A little while later, Faye, I got an email from her saying, would I like to come and play? And I was just like, I can't believe this. This is so cool. Because there's such a talented group of people, and they get to do such a fun format. I used to watch a lot of wrestling as a kid.
Oh, right.
So that kind of sporting, that kind of, I don't know, teams and sort of, I don't know if that setup, if you will, seemed like fun to me, and at the same time, I used to watch loads of Whose Lines It Anyway growing up, of course, like everyone, or a lot of improvisers probably did. And to me, that was, when I first knew about improv, that was what that looked like. And the stuff that Story Kitchen do with the sort of Keith Johnstone formats was the closest thing I saw in London to that kind of thing. There are much more similar things in London going on, but at that stage.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like a good thing to do, and because there are so many much more experienced improvisers in the group, I thought, well, what a great opportunity to learn from them, and at the same time it kind of functions well within the show to have someone a bit more junior, I guess, because you have that levelling of the 10-minute Danish and the exhibition match. If you
explain.
Right. So there. I don't think it's strictly about your ability, because there are some extremely talented people at all levels of that. But generally speaking, the idea is that you have a 10-minute match with your sort of fresher improvisers, a Danish match with some maybe slightly more experience. Again, I'm not doing this justice, because I don't think this is exactly the
It's your interpretation of it.
Yeah, slightly more experience, and then the exhibition match with the sort of the big hitters.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, or at least that's how I think of it. Yeah, and I'm sure that's not going to be the case for everything. And so if you've got that progression of it gets more exciting towards the end of the show, that's fun for an audience. And that's something I've learnt loads in Story. So Faye's great at, she super knows all the Keith Johnstone. She's worked with him, she's studied under him, etc. And so knowing having the audience in mind and really thinking about what would be fun for them is something that I've learnt a lot from being in Story Kitchen.
Cool.
So it wasn't. I guess it was something in the back of my mind, but it's a lot more in the front of my mind from that. And I think things like Pantoprov and Dark Matters were only really possible because I was thinking what would be fun for a good audience, for an audience.
Yeah.
So it's great how that comes around. I think that's. There's so much more to say about those. There's a great big pool of people, and they're all really lovely, and I just feel really grateful to be able to hang out with them.
Cool, fantastic. That sounds great. And you're also a member of Nerd Salad.
Just.
I
haven't actually even rehearsed with them yet. So the story behind this, I guess, is originally, remember I said a bunch of people who I was in beginners with stuck together and did a few courses together. Well, that group became a group called Pretenders Assembled, which we did a La Ronde format for a little while, because a few of us did Chris Mead's course, and he did a lovely, he taught us the La Ronde. So we did a sort of narrative La Ronde where we had a consistent story going through. That was great. And then a couple of people from that group joined Nerd Salad as well. And we were on a course with a few people from them. So we really got to know each other very well. And they're a great bunch of people that I've literally not done anything with yet, but the plan is to do some stuff with them next year, and I'm excited about that, because they're all besides being sort of great improvisers and being open to innovation, they had some great stuff on at the marathon. Did you see the countdown thing? Oh, that was brilliant.
It was hilarious. It was because they had the most convoluted setup to get a suggestion.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. I know that they were all, I just see them all now wearing hats and suits.
They look so smart.
They did look very smart. And then there was a countdown. They had cards.
They had blue cards, and they gave them out to the audience, and everyone picked a letter, and then they had the 9 letters, and you're like, oh, I see where this is going. And then they played the music and had Ian being a giant clock. And then whoever came up, the audience came up with words like they were playing Countdown. And I have to say, so Martin is a former Countdown contestant.
I did not know that.
So I'm sure that's where that came from.
I just thought, you've got a 15-minute slot. We've done about 10 minutes just getting the words
But
suggested.
wasn't it great?
It was beautiful. It was
brilliant.
hilarious, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm hoping, they seem super experimental, and they try new things, and I'm looking forward to having a rehearsal with them first, and hopefully doing some fun stuff with them next year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, they're a great bunch of people. So sounds great. Okay, so moving towards the end now.
Okay. The biggest.
What would you say is your signature move? Would you pull out the hat and I go, classic Bailey, saved the day again with a signature move?
Oh, I think at the moment, the signature move is all the behind the scenes stuff
Right.
of making sure the formats that we're developing as a group are being developed to that stage where you said where it looks professional, even though it isn't. So that's something I'm finding I'm enjoying quite a lot at the moment. But on stage, I think I'm likely to just do something weird, and I'm lucky enough to have enough people around me who will correct me or ground me and say that's fine. So I'm likely to do odd stuff, or I guess when I'm like not sure what I'm gonna do, I'll probably just do a funny voice.
Right. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Because funny voices are fun, and then a character forms from that, and then I know who that character is.
Brilliant.
And I can act in that way. Yeah.
Brilliant. That sounds great. I think that's everything.
Great. Okay. Super.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It's been brilliant.
I made this.
That's improv!